The story involved a confirmed alcoholic and cocaine addict.
The family had lost patience and had attempted to bring him to his senses by forcing him to face all the hurts which they had experienced in relation to his brokenness and his addictions. The whole family was gathered, short of his father, who was not present. His mother, his sister, and his wife were all present for the occasion. Each one of them related to the pain that they had experienced, watching him degenerate day by day with his increasing addictions. His mother could not cope with him living in the house, but did not want to let him go completely. So she allowed him to live in the basement, which had external entrance along the old style of the huge drop-down door, which had been lifted up in order to enter into the basement.
I'm sure you've all seen one of those things, you know? You gotta open this big thing and go down into a hole in the basement. Terrible feeling.
The room was really depressing. It was really a depressing place, and yet she felt she could not let him go completely. She did not want to put him out on the streets. The mother was a very religious woman, apparently a strong Catholic. She had extremely good faith and felt that the only answer to his problems was her continual prayer to Christ to save her son.
You see, there's a great concern, and needless to say, on the part of the mother, and this was her approach, is to be extremely concerned by faith and thinking that praying for her son would bring about that healing. Go ahead then.
Her daughter was also very firm, determined Christian, and decided that she was going to save him by forcing him to get back to church, to change his life, and to, above all, to get back to his wife and small son. His sister was genuinely concerned, but extremely insistent and forceful, treating him almost as a child who could make no decisions for himself. His wife, on the other hand, was a very caring and loving person who had put up with his dysfunctional behavior for many years, but finally had come to the end of her patience and agreed to the intervention. As his story, we'll call him Bill, began to unfold, he recounted his feelings at the time of the breakup of the family when he was still a very young child of about 4 years of age. He recalled the many fights that he and his mother and father had been involved in, and it brought him a lot of pain and fear at the time. He recalled that his mother's patience had run out, and she had threw his father out of the house because of his continued addictions and infidelity. After the father was gone, he was the only boy in the family, and being the youngest, he was quite spoiled. But as he grew up, his mother felt that he should be involved in sports and tried to encourage him to get into softball or some other sport. But Bill chose boxing, as it allowed him to vent his frustrations and anger, but he was unaware of why he was choosing boxing. He became a very good boxer. In fact, he had become almost a professional as the years went on, but still no one in the family would ever have attended his fights, even though he was winning so many.
Okay. And he ultimately met his wife, with whom he deeply fell in love, and they were expecting the birth of their first child. Throughout all this time, he had been involved with crack cocaine, but very few were aware of how serious his addiction really was. However, on the occasion of the birth of the child, he did not use cocaine. His wife was extremely ill and almost died when she was in the hospital, but stayed in the room with her day and night and slept on 2 hard chairs and never left her side. She said that had it not been for him, she would have died and their little child would not have been born. This looked like a real hopeful turn for Bill to overcome his addiction, because during the months that she was in the hospital, he was completely clean and sober. However, very soon again, Bill was back on the crack cocaine. When he recounted the story on the occasion that of the intervention on the TV, he said that he felt that he was not needed anymore. You see, no one in the group who were present when the intervention, including the counselor, saw or felt the significance of those few words. To me, these few words held the key to the root of addiction and his ultimate healing. But nobody ever heard them or listened to the powerful implications that they revealed about his life. As a child, when his mother had thrown the father out of the house for good, the child realized that the father was not needed anymore and the family would carry on without him. In fact, his mother took over the role of being both father and mother, even trying to develop her son's athletic career. So these simple words, he was not needed anymore, took him back to that scene when his father was thrown out of the house. His mother, with her strong insistence on faith and religion, took over, and that became the directive for the family, so much so that his sister developed the very same strong drive and conviction that everything would be solved if they were faithful to their prayers, turned their lives over to God and their Catholic faith. Granted, they did it all out of love, but they did not understand the effect it had on Bill and even on his wife Louise. And even his wife Louise did not understand the implications of that simple phrase that he was not needed anymore. That phrase was charged with meaning and filled with pain, the pain of loss and the feeling of being useless and of no importance.